A warm welcome from Ulm in Germany. Welcome to this morning webinar. I want to give a little bit introduction today on different testing methods for NIS, also a little bit on the syringes, background of standardization. Yeah, introducing myself, Eric Berndt. I'm now already 70 years with ZwickRoell here, responsible as global industry manager for the medical and pharmaceutical industry. And as I'm member of several national and international standardization committees, I think I can share today some more deeper informations on actual changes, alignments, activities from the standardization. If I'm looking at the actual market data, the situation is quite clear. The development funnel for new drugs, the majority of which are in biologics, is full. We see here now also GLP-1 drugs very strongly on the market, heavily growing. We can see that there's a lot of new drugs coming in particular future cancer drugs will dominate. And most importantly for us and you, all these biologics needs up to now injection systems to be delivered to the patients. Let us have now a look. Let's start with standards. I think everybody perhaps who's joining is quite clear that if we are talking about needle-based injection systems, NIS, that the ISO 11608 series is the important one where you have to look on. It was released in a newer version last time, 2023, and actually we are working in the technical committee 84 here on updates. Mostly this will be amendments because the big updates will be only in a few years, and we are now in the decision process what is necessary to share before the big updates coming up, and therefore we are just in discussions on different amendments. What is very important for you, and less persons are aware of this, we founded a so-named advisory group, AG1, in the ISO Technical Committee TC84. And with this, you can put your questions on these standards to this advisory group. This means I do not understand the sentence. We know everybody has perhaps a different understanding. You have very special technical points, what is inside, and so on. And so you can go via your national secretary, standardization secretary, to get it in. You can go directly by the TC84 committee, or what I'm offering also to our customers, that I'm bringing in these questions. And we had already a lot of questions. We have a group of specialists. We are discussing this. We are thinking what is the right answer, what is the best answer to give, and this is then shared to the person who placed the questions. In a moment, what is missing, and this would be good if perhaps all these answers we have already given, where we are perhaps collected in a FAQ, but out of some legal reasons, in the moment we cannot do this. This means perhaps in the future we're working on this, but for sure the people working in this technical committee are aware also on this and perhaps can give also answers, and especially for my persons. What is some trends, some news in this area, what I'm facing? And perhaps the most interesting is looking on the standard. We are testing perhaps a full product, the device with the drug, and the procedure is quite clear what to be tested. But there's a big trend to be testing the the mechanical part of these devices, of a pen, of an autoinjector, without a drug or without a device inside. Originally, this idea came from the device producers, as they do not have access to perhaps the drugs, the white ones. They have only perhaps some water displacement and so on. And with this, we developed years before already this mechanism where we are looking on the mechanical rear part, the functionality, and can prove that all this works, that in the pen, the plunger rod movement is fulfilling all the rules. And at the end, if you have the movement of plunger rod multiplied with the area, this would be also like the volume ejected. The same now with autoinjectors, where also device producers look for this and said it's too complex. I know some device producers, they have already filling lines doing these specimens sampling by their own. But the easier way could be that we are only testing the power pack at the end. We are looking on the spring force profiles and different special specifications in this test. And interesting is now that also the pharma company is jumping on it, because they're saying, hey, my specimen is perhaps $6, but the drug inside is $2,000. Perhaps can I reduce my normal testing a little bit and replacing this by these mechanical rear part tests. And this is a topic what we are developing together with a lot of companies and offering, and already is running in the industry. And yeah, the normal standard for sure requires the test of the full device filled with the drug. And at the end, for sure, the key test out of this is the dose accuracy on different settings and the dose settings of this pen itself. This means for sure, perhaps you can do this easily, only dialing in on the pen, holding over a balance, taking the value. But at the end, what we learned over time, the risk of an operator failure is much too high. And this was the reason why we integrated such testings very early years before in testing machines, where we can create reliable test results. This could be a manual solution, where we have the pen is manually dialed in by an operator, is placed in the machine, and the machine is then activating. The balance is integrated in the machine. We can take the volume out of it, or the weight translated to volume. And at the end, we can have all the statistics from the standard inside. But for sure, as I said, reducing the failure of an operator, we learned then from this industry that this is perhaps good if perhaps the operator is doing less operations on the device itself. And with this, we entered also the dial-in functions to the machine. So this means the machine can automatically dial in what is like the recipes written in the standard, the V-min, the V-average, the V-maximum. And with these recipes, then we can measure, and then we can make a thumb up, thumb down if it's a passed or failed. So this means we have more easy systems, more complex systems, but for sure what I can tell, the more manual testing what I've seen often in the past, and perhaps in some smaller companies where really the pen is over the balance, I think there's a high risk of operator failure in this, and especially the accuracy of the standards is that high, the statistics, that you can easily get a fail out of this. For sure, if we are doing more the semi-automated, fully automated systems, we have to also to integrate artificial intelligence. Normally, we have the operator who's dialing in 30 newtons, checking this. If the machine is this doing now, we need now camera systems who can also recognize and give us back the values and say, yes, this was a good setting. And going to the next complex, normally the operator is preparing the pens, means removing the different cap systems from the needle, drilling the needle on, doing the priming, inserting this to the machine or a tray, and then the machine is running this. So in the past, we did this also with the automated systems. Perhaps we had then 20 to 30 pens inside, which were prepared by the operator. But if we have new systems now where we can have perhaps 200 or 300 pens inside, the time between priming and preparation and testing is too long. And with this now, we have now automated priming stations. We have stations where we can bring on the needles. These systems are also used for life cycle testings, where you can perhaps do much more testings on the pen itself. Perhaps you are using the needle for more on the same or the same needle on different pens to reduce the influence on the needle in the testing. So there's multiple possibilities at the end with such flexible systems itself. I would now leave perhaps the ISO 11608-1, where we're looking on more the pen systems, and we're heading over to the 11608-5, the autoinjector testing. And this is a very typical system, what we are doing. I will go to some details later on, like here we are seeing the setup of a machine with daily checks. We have different checks on the parts which are inside to reduce the operator failure rate itself. And at the end, we are closing the door, we are starting, and we can do now the sequence following also the essential requirements performance, which is in the standard, like the cap removal, click sound detection. We are now activating. We can measure now the needle length, the injection time. We are removing last drops in this. We are measuring the different needle heights in such systems, like needle shield over winding. So we have a variety of options are possible in such a system. And at the end, you're getting quite clear results out of this. And for sure, I will explain later, there could be different levels of automation. Here is one very important point what I want to follow, and this is the test and cap removal in an upright position. And this can be also an option in the machine. This can be with one button changed from upright to downward position on testing. We are flexible on all existing autoinjectors on the market with such a machine, and I think the throughput is quite high. So we are very well with this system, like could be used in R&D, could be used in Q&A and different parts, which such a system. And now let's have a look on some single parts. And one very important is how to grip the devices itself, because we do not want to apply a high force, because with this we can affect the inside mechanics. And for sure, we started also and with our first machines where we have also jaw faces with a V-nut, and we are pressing them together to avoiding slipping, but at the end there could be some malfunctions because of these forces. This will, at the end, we adapted the compression, we reduced the closing forces, and at the end the slipping goes up. And this was the reason where we decided we need special surfaces, we need adapted surfaces adapted to the geometry. This means we want to have a high friction force with low compression force, and this we can do with these different change parts inside, and with this, we can produce consistent results, which are required by this challenging test. And if we have now the change part, we introduced also a mechanical Poka-Yoke system that because you can use multiple autoinjectors on your one machine where you have different change parts, that you are not mixing up these parts. So there is a mechanical point that you can place only these parts on the right position. We have codings on this where we can analyze that only the right parts are on the right position in the machine. And with these, we can utilize this hand scanner and can ID everything before starting a batch. And this ensures repeatable, reliable test as well test data confidence. Now, what I said with this change, why? The topic is there are some problems on the market with some autoinjectors and the prefilled syringe side, especially on more low viscous drugs, and there could be the risk if you're removing the cap of the autoinjector, integrated is also the safety cap of the prefilled syringe, that some drops already getting out of the needle tip. And the pharma companies, they solved it by introducing some remarks in the instruction for use. And there's now written that the patient has to remove the cap in the upright position, and this is reducing these first spilling. The topic is at the end, the FDA came and said, okay, the ISO 11608 is telling you have to follow the instruction for use, also for your test procedure. And this was then the reason why we have to integrate this option that we can also test with the needle in the upright position. And I just told to different device producers, and they told me that there are more low viscous drugs will be affected by this. We have some products, so this is a quite important option inside. The second one is the cap removal, and there are also some discussions in the past. Normally there were only sliders with a defined opening width where they're gripping the cap, and with this as a mechanical force. We updated our machines long time back also to add up gripper system, and we can adjust the gripper system, the holding forces, the geometries of the gripping itself. So we are very flexible. We have the system, but also if customer says, for my device, perhaps the slider is the better possibility, it's no problem to use both versions of this. Another topic which is quite important in this is the topic of electrostatic effects, especially on glass, plastic beakers. Over the time and working with partners like Metal Toledo, we learned that there were approaches that could minimize electrostatic effects that caused larger scatter and dose accuracy measurements. And with the addition of now especially alloy beakers on our testing systems, we have now the most repeatable, reliable system again available. And this is quite important. And you see, these are learnings, and learnings for sure is quite important to get a lot of feedbacks also from our customers who are using the machines, who are testing thousands, 10,000s of samples, and for sure this will help to improve our system to the next level. Another topic is we have also incorporated a very high resolution camera in our autoinjector testing systems, where we can perform the measurement and the recording at one time. So we have only one camera, one lens system, one backlight, and we have a clear view on the needle itself. We are recording all these sequence. We can later replay. We can see if there were any failure in this. This is for failure analysis. Very important, these trends. And with the camera, we have also depth measurements from 2 to 50 millimeters. Accuracy is perhaps better than 0.055 millimeters, and injection time measurements, they can as low as 0.05 seconds. And for sure, there is then and less influence of a spray and so on if these cameras are placed a little bit outside. And if that wasn't enough, it also provides a time synchronized video capture, like I said, and this is then also included in the system. And what we're getting at the end, we have seen testXpert. You see here's the dashboards. You're getting all your answers in one single glance. These can be modified to your use also. We can see the whole results over the time, but the system will pick out the critical situations where we have activation for the needle and so on, and this will be then highlighted further, and at the end you're getting out of the statistics and your defined limits then also a pass or fail of this test. And these can be easily configured also in the software. There's, I think, over 40 functions which are, can be modified, adapted to your actual test sequence. And the software is our industry standard testXpert, and this is used in all of our test systems across all applications. And I think this guarantees the high quality and security of the software itself. The beginning of the movie, we have seen also daily checks, very important, not only in Autoinjector. In the moment, the whole medical and pharma industry are using daily checks. So this means we have normally a calibration, a yearly one, but we want to see if there is some failure over this time. So we are not checking every time on the calibration level. We are just looking if there's some mechanical failure in a larger range, and these we can do with these sensor checks. And these will not replace this annual placeable calibration, but like I said, provides a confidence every day that your results are within your regular norms. And only if you have a positive feedback from the daily check, then the software is allowed to start, and elsewhere there will be some warnings. Now, heading to a very discussed topic in the moment on the ISO 11608-5, and this is the topic of the testing with the membrane. At the end, I copied only 3 slides out of the standard. The discussion is going on the special intended injection depth. This means normally you want to inject, doing your injection between the maximum and the minimum intended injection depth, and you have to prove this in the design verification phase. And in the standard, perhaps it's written, it's explained. Some of my customers or people who are contacting me say it's not quite clear, perhaps referencing, because there's also an informative chapter at the end where there is this white picture with the balance and the membrane inside. And some people now saying, oh, now I have to do all my testings with this membrane. Short answer to this, no, this membrane is only used during the design verification, and in the software is also written, it's only one sentence, but it's in that you can also use other methods to do this. If you have topics with this, please contact me. We are offering now also solutions to make tests with the membrane. We are in discussion with other device producers and also what other methods can be used on this. And we can perhaps demonstrate how our machines are clearly fulfilling the requirements to the standard itself. And at the end, we created an entire family of autoinjector and pen testing solutions. Here we have to look if a customer is only doing some spare test in his lab, or he's responsible for daily lot release testing. Often, if there are biologics involved, we are speaking perhaps on batches with values of millions of euros. and then the test system must be very reliable. Then also customers want to test syringes, pens, autoinjectors without torsion functionalities, and we have now the range of machines to offer the solutions to the customer. And looking at the design verification, lot release testing, we are selling a lot of fully automated systems to the global world. Autoinjector testing is not one size fits all exercise. It's a much more complex system, and I think we are perhaps the right partner. We are understanding the software, we have the mechanics, we have the software, we can do all the consultancy. What I missed is the last part of the standard, and these are the ISO 11608-6, the OBDS, On-Body-Delivery-Systeme, and we have some standard solutions now for the testing of your OBDS devices in conformance with this standard, and these drug devices targeting higher viscosity and significantly longer injection times. This is now from the seconds with autoinjectors to minutes or more for these devices itself. And if you're looking at this, these devices are normally the device is physically connected to the patient's body. Adhesion properties must be measured. And with this, we can also have these testing systems with 2 test spaces where we can do first the peel the adhesive in the top space and then perform the actual device test in the bottom space. So covering all the testing based in a single system. How is the market reacting? I think it's new, it's coming up. What I'm learning that everybody is developing such OBDS, and we have a lot of projects running. I can only guide you also to our house fair in October here in Ulm in Germany. We have 4 days. We have including the Medical Tuesday, where we have interesting lectures from the industry. And if you have a chance, then visit us. These 4 days are incredible, what you can learn out of this. And at the end, with these OBDS, to finalize it, we have seen in the autoinjector, perhaps you're measuring a volume, weight on the dose at the end. And here we are normally looking more for the injection times so long, and therefore controlling the flow rate is the critical to success of the testing. And we have to see there are constant flow rates. There could be by electronically driven system. There could be also some different phases on injection on this, and the testing system must match the intended use of the product. But for sure, there are different features which have a little bit difference to the autoinjector, and we cannot directly use perhaps the normal autoinjector machine for this long time. There are different requirements on this. So I've spoken now on the needle-based injection systems, but for sure here we have integrated prefilled syringes in an autoinjector. We have cartridges in the pen systems, and this means we have also to look in further standards. And these here are the standards perhaps which are for syringes, also for the single use, the prefilled ones, and the connector ones. The first standards were recently updated, and more are following as we are trying to align these standards with the required testing procedures. We have many solutions here at ZwickRoell, and these are in fact not the only standards of interest. If I'm looking here on this further list, so in the ISO Technical Committee 84, we are working on a much more wider range on standards, often alignment, because they are quite old, some of these standards, old drawings inside, perhaps the same test, like in breakthroughs and glide force test and different tests, but perhaps with different descriptions. This should be aligned. But for sure, we have also some new standards coming up here, also the 11194, where we are looking on special single-use syringes for ophthalmologic use. Special new requirements in this, but I think it's an interesting market also. We have the technical reports here for the transition periods for standards. It's a quite important technical report coming up. And there is some draft technical specification, the 4452, where it's written specification demonstration of system reliability of the single-use delivery system. So looking on the NIS itself, quite complex standards now, but very important also for your business. That's not all. For sure, we have to have a deeper look also on the pharmacopoeias, here the US, because most of our pharma company partners looking at the pharmacopoeias, and we have to help them also perhaps what is in the text described, what is perhaps can be referenced on an ISO mechanical testing. Some of the new pharmacopoeia chapters, they included already some of these ISO testings, but I think talk to me, we have also deep knowledge on this. Now looking on some trends, if you're looking on the syringes, on the cartridges, and especially there's one trend to measure the stopper position of the filled syringe, and this is important if you are finalizing the product or the procedure of these, when you are combining the front part, the rear part, and pre-filled syringe and an autoinjector. The position of the plunger is quite important. We did this already in the past. Also, these are our video extend systems, the same we are using also in the autoinjector. And now we have the first automated systems here where we can do this on a larger base, doing this automated testing. These are also offerings we are doing. Back to perhaps standards, and this is also relevant perhaps to the 11608 series, because this is referencing also to the ISO 23908, where we are looking perhaps especially on the needle position after injection. This is this metal ball test inside. There are different references inside here. We're doing also especially an amendment in the ISO, but at the end we are offering the different tools also to measure this hidden needle in the needle safety device, the pre-filled syringe with needle safety device, or an autoinjector after the needle shield is blocked. We can measure also the length of this hidden needle with methods. And if you're looking at syringes, for sure, there are more basic mechanical testings and all these requirements. We know the standards, the requirements. We want to simplify the testing process for you at ZwickRoell, and with our unique modular design of these text fixtures, means that you can easily use a single test system to cover all the annexes also on this ISO 11040. Less complexity means faster testing, more reliable test results, and ultimately more budget for other text fixtures. And this leads over perhaps also to what we are offering to help you to optimize your time, and this could be different stages on automation. So we have a spectrum of solutions from manual single specimen tests like discussed, semi-automated testing for medium volumes, to fully automated solutions for high volume can go up to 24/7. So everything is possible, and this could be here seen like in these carousel text fixtures where we can have trays which can be filled outside, then filled to the machine, and then we can have here 12, 40, 50 syringes perhaps tested, doing integrated the balance. And this was quite new in a moment. A lot of customers requiring not only a break loose glide force testing, but also dose security testing on the syringes. And we followed this trend and offering now systems on this. And this could be for higher volumes. The XY tables, we have multiple devices on this test itself. And one solution could be also the parallel testing. So this makes more sense than serial approach we have showed you. And in this setup, you see then 8 test axes on a single test frame, 8 test running simultaneously. And this is very effective approach for tests that take a long time, like syringe pumps widely used in hospitals. And these are run at very slow speeds to stimulate the actual usage of the pumps. And this parallel testing dramatically reduces testing times and eliminates potential operator influence. And at the end, and this is a new trend, is also the syringe testing is fully automated. So we can do with the handling system, we can work from a tray, we can work from a NIS directly. We can remove the cap, we can measure the force to remove the cap, we can do the activation forces, we can do in dose accuracy testing. And this is in the moment quite often requested. Another standard I showed this in the list, the ISO 8369, where we are looking on connector types. And what is quite important, there was an update already on the topic of the 20, and this makes now a little bit problem because the 20 is the common description of the test methods, and it's referencing them to the sub chapters where we have the individual descriptions for the special types to be tested. And some of these chapters are not updated. In a moment, there is some misalignment between these. What we are doing in a moment, okay, we are holding to the old standard because the new chapter is referencing to a chapter, parts of a chapter which are not there in a moment. This takes some time until they will be updated. And if you have questions to this, please, you can contact me. And this is a more complex topic itself. And this means at the end, there is already a wide range on tests. There is a new chapter now in this air leakage during aspiration. And in total, there was a big change on the replacement of the leakage rate by the pressure change as an acceptance criteria. And with this, we have also adapted a little bit the machine itself. But as I said, the standard is not totally updated in all parts, and there's some misalignment in between. And yeah, the test system works. Coming to an end, essential requirement for testing software, this business requires data integrity. The data are not allowed to manipulate or delete. And we have already written a lot of white papers, IT documentations, where we're all describing how our software is fulfilling this and what is widely used by our customers to get our help, our qualification service. So from a prepared URS over DQI QOQ, we started already with the MSA1 PQ supports. And I think with this, I'm a little bit over time. If there are no questions anymore, I would say thank you again, and perhaps switching over again, you can go by these different sites or by LinkedIn, whatever, contacting us. And as we said, we are globally active, and you will get everywhere a contact person to find a solution, and we can offer a lot of consultancy. With this, I would thank you and wish you a good day. Goodbye.